Nice to have you with us as we begin hour number 3 radio program here on a Tuesday afternoon as we talk about what's going on as far as the world of sports is concerned. Justin Verlander today, Tony Castro, and a Garrett Ruth situation way back. Good to have you with us with Eddie Erickson and Colin Schmelling, yours truly. Christopher Russo here as we start our third hour. Let's do a little potpourri for you, give a little sense of what happened the night before. We haven't really discussed anything as far as NBA, NHL playoffs are concerned. And then, of course, looking ahead and get your calls in at 888 Mad Dog 6 on the great Sirius XM 82. Obviously, the story of Monday night was Dwayne Wade. He played great, a throwback game for Wade. He made big shots. He had a great first half. He had 21. He had a good finish with a big basket and a steal. Scored 28 in the game in Miami. He certainly gave the 76ers a lot to think about. 113-103. They had a big lead throughout a lot of this game. They had a huge second quarter when they outscored Philadelphia 34-13, and they had a 14-point lead at the half, I believe it was, and it got up to a little higher than that. Had to hang on a little bit. No way a team in the postseason is going to fall off and not make a run in the second half of these games, and Philadelphia did just that. I don't think they had a ball with a chance to tie. I watched it. They were down by 4 with the ball. I think that's what it was. 98-94 maybe, something like that. And that's when the Wade steal occurred. So I don't think they had a chance with the possession to get the game tied, but, they were certainly right there at that big crowd and doing their thing. You know, the problem with Philadelphia is right now they got a lot of role players with Simmons, the great player. I mean, they got a lot of role guys. Silva's a role player. Reddick's a role player. Bellinelli's a role player. Covington's not a huge player. They got a lot of role players on that. They need to be in the worst way. We'll get to him in a minute. And Philadelphia, really had a lot of trouble containing the backcourt of Miami, especially Wade. And the Heat get even in the best of 7 series, a game apiece. I think Philadelphia will win still in this series. I think they'll figure out a way to win a game in Miami. I think that Miami, that home court, is not that impossible. Miami's got to play really well. Last night they shot 49%. They made 9 threes. They held Philadelphia to 42% shooting. So Miami's really got to play really well to win this series and these games. I think Philadelphia will get a game in Miami. I think we'll be looking at 2-2 for a game 5. But Philadelphia needs a beat. He didn't play yesterday. The Sixers, as is their wont, are very, very careful. They tank forever to get draft picks. We all know what they did out of line. They did that for 100 years to get the picks. They lost without a lot of ceremony. I mean, didn't like how they didn't try to be competitive. And now I'm not saying it's the wrong thing because, as it turns out, they got number 1 picks. They took Fultz, they took Simmons, they took Embiid. They did what, that's how you try to get better. Getting the 13th pick is not going to help you want to turn it around. Getting the 1st or 2nd pick will, and that's what Philadelphia did. Losing on purpose to get those picks. San Antonio did that once with Duncan. That's what these teams do in a lot of cases, and you can't argue too much with the difference being the transition, the franchise player being there at 1 or 2, and then the good player who's just a good player who's not going to turn around your franchise being there at 10 and 12. And Philadelphia understood that, lost on purpose, and here we are now where they sit. But one of those franchise players, Embiid, they are very careful with. I mean, we all know about back-to-back games. He had major knee injuries. Simmons didn't play at all last year. I mean, Embiid has barely played. He hasn't really played, or he has played at all in the playoffs. They're very careful with him, and you can tell Embiid's getting annoyed right now. I mean, he's an athlete. The kid wants to play. He went on Twitter after the game last night, said a lot of crazy things. I am blank and tired of being treated like a baby. He wants to get in there, so we see how the Sixers. A lot of people thought he'd play yesterday and did not. So now we'll see how the Sixers handle it. They have an extra day off before Game 3 on Thursday night, and we'll see what Philadelphia does. I would suspect that they'll play Thursday night, and then they play again they play Thursday, and what is Thursday's date? That's the 19th, and then they play Saturday afternoon. I would expect Embiid to play these 2 games in Miami. He hasn't played in a while, did not play last night. They need him. They need another great player on that team. They got one very good player in Simmons who can't shoot, but he's a hell of a player. Everybody else is role guys on that team. They need a secondary guy. Embiid's that guy. We'll see if they put him in there over the week in Miami Thursday and Saturday. The Heat, meanwhile, nice job. One apiece. We see down the road how this works itself out there in the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. I did not watch a second of the Warriors and the Spurs. If you're going to play the game at 10:47 at night, the tip was supposed to be at 10:30. If you're going to play the game at 10:47, you're going to eliminate 46% of the population who lives on the East Coast or lives in the Eastern time zone, because they're not going to be there for you. I am not on a weeknight when I know Golden State's going to win anyway. I am not staying up to 4 o'clock in the morning to watch Warriors and Spurs. I'm just not doing it. Warriors last night, down at the half, had a good third quarter. Obviously won a game going away. 4 for 28 were the Spurs from 3, and the Thunder win, and the Warriors win the game, fairly easily at 116 to 101. Again, I don't know why you couldn't have played the games last night at 7 and 10. I don't know why you had to start Philadelphia at 8. Well, I know why. TNT wants the game in prime time. I'm not stupid. TNT spent a ton of money for these games. They tell the NBA what time they want the games to be played, and the NBA acquiesces. As simple as that. They want the game. They want to do basically an hour pregame show. They want to be on all night in the NBA because nobody watches TNT otherwise outside of sports. Nobody puts it on. Nobody watches a show. Nothing. Zero. This is what they get. This helps them, try to get some viewers and get commercials and, make a little money, or at least break even and get some people who know where TNT is. So they want to extend these playoffs as much as possible and play these games as late as possible, West Coast and everything else. But they're going to lose me. How the NBA allows that second game last night, the NBA champs, to play at 10:47, I have no idea. I don't get it. I mean, Adam Silver can't tell them the Warriors are starting at 10 o'clock, so at least we can maybe watch the first half. I mean, it's ridiculous. And if they're going to do that to me, I'm not going to bother. Simple as that, especially in a series that I know is not going to be that competitive to begin with. Now, I'd like to watch the Portland game tonight. That game won't start at 10:47 because you got 3 games tonight that are at 7, 8, and at 10:30. Washington is at 7, the Celtics are at 8, and the Portland game is at 10:30. So, again, they want to spread it out, staggered times. I mean, I can deal with it a little better tonight. I understand their thinking. They got 3 games, 2 on the East Coast. I can understand it a little bit. I would, if it was me, I would do something like 7, to be fair to the audience. I do Celtics at 8, I do Wizards at 7, and maybe I put the Portland game on at 10. But they're going to put it on at 10:47 to do that daily double, and it drives you crazy, and I'm not going to watch it. I mean, it's unfortunate. I like to watch that game. Trailblazers, of course, down a game in this series, but I'm not going to do it and get up at 2 o'clock and go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. That I'm not doing. Simple as that. If the NBA is not that important to me, especially in the first round, that I am not going to be bothered with that nonsense. And don't tell me that, this is the same time they start games in the regular season. They do not start games in the regular season at 10 of 11 in Golden State, at 10 of 8, and they do not start games in the regular season at 10 of 11 in Portland. All right, I know the NBA likes to say that. We're just playing the games at the same time that the Trailblazer fan normally goes to games. No, they're not. Those games start at 10. They don't start at 10:30. So, but that's how the NBA wants to play it, so we're going to have to live with it. Anyway, tonight, 3 games. Wizards were competitive in Game 1. Toronto finally won a first game of a playoff series, something they don't normally do. We'll see how they handle it in Game 2. If you're a good team and a team that's got to lose something to do in the NBA postseason, something to prove, you don't take this Game 2 for granted. You go out there and you put the hammer down on the Wizards. You win your 2 home games, and then you get a split on the road and you win in Game 5. I mean, that's how you do this. If you're Toronto, we'll see if they're capable and good enough to win a Game 2 against, you would expect, a determined Wizards team tonight. And then, of course, the Celtics and the Bucks. Bucks will play hard. The Celtics, Horford's very good. He does everything well. I mean, Rozier's good. Brown's good. Stevens is excellent. I'd expect another close game tonight. I think the Celtics will win, but another close game in Game 2. And you have to expect Portland to bounce back against New Orleans. You'd have to expect that and get even in game apiece here in the first round. But I think right now you got a chance for a lot of long series. I think Philly-Miami could go long. I think Cleveland-Indiana could go long. I think the Portland-New Orleans series could go long. I think you got a chance right now for 3 long series in the NBA. What I mean by long, I mean 7th games. I think you got a chance for 3 at the moment. As far as the NHL is concerned, last night the games were good. I watched the Toronto-Boston game. I don't love Frederik Andersen. He made a couple of saves when he had to have it. The game was tied at 2-2. Toronto, Austin Meadows scored that goal, gave him a lead. They scored a little later on. Toronto, that's a great arena for hockey. Win the game 4-2 to get back involved in that series. It's 2-1. You figured they win one game. We'll see if they can win another one now at home on Thursday night against the Bruins. Good job by the Devils last night. They played well, too. That building was alive. They beat Tampa 3-2. That game was tight. They trailed throughout the game, 1-0, 2-1. Scored in the third period. Did a nice job. Say again? Oh, they got the 2 empty netters. That's correct. It was 5-2, 3-2 when it mattered. They got the 2 empty netters. That's what Colin says. Who cares? And Tampa also had a power play late in that game, down by a goal. And the Devils did a good job and got a win. So, and then of course on the West Coast, Nashville lost in Colorado, and then Anaheim got buried by San Jose. So it looks like 2 quick series in the Pacific Division with Vegas and with San Jose, and it looks like maybe some long series everywhere else. Toronto, Boston's alive. Devils, Toronto is alive. Philadelphia needs to win to get back even at 2 games apiece when they play Pittsburgh. I think that game is tonight, probably. Is that game tonight? The NHL tonight? Let me take a look. Is that Philadelphia-Pittsburgh game tonight? I'm sure it is. The NHL tonight is Jackets. No, it's not tonight. Tonight's Columbus and the Capitals, Wild, Jets, and Kings, Vegas. So that game is not tonight. But I would think some length in the NHL here in this first round. Columbus, Hopi will start in goal for the Capitals tonight. Not the other kid who has not played well, so Hopi's back in the nets. For the Capitals tonight, Zach Parisi's out. For Minnesota, he's hurt. So he banged up, sternum injuries, so he's going to probably be out the rest of that postseason. So issues for Minnesota that's been all banged up late in the year. So 3 NHL tonight, 3 NBA tonight, and some baseball tonight. Ohtani against the Red Sox late. Quarter after the hour, 5:15. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed.